Hello, welcome to Broadly Active. We're going to do an exercise video today for strength and balance. My name is Ian, this is Martin, and we're going to do exercises that can be done standing or seated, and we're going to work through the whole body to build some strength and to build up our balance. Okay, so first thing, make sure that you've got enough space around you so that you can move safely, you're not going to knock anything over. Make sure you have water to hand so you can keep hydrated when you're exercising. If you're feeling unwell, you need to stop and have a little rest. That's absolutely fine. Just make sure that you do so whenever you feel you need to. And if you're feeling any acute pain, something that feels particularly painful, again, we don't want you to be putting yourself through that kind of discomfort today. Okay, so we're going to use a little bit of equipment. We do have, for those of you that have resistance bands available, we're going to do some exercises with those. We can also add a little bit of weight to our exercises. And if you have at home, if you don't have weights, you can of course take anything from your kitchen cupboard. Okay, so we'll demonstrate a little bit of that. Now, if you don't have a resistance band, or if you don't have weights, then we can still do the same exercises, just working through the same range of movement, okay, working the same muscles. Excellent. So we're going to start off with a bit of a warm-up, get a bit of circulation through the body. We're going to work through the head to the toe, okay, and start to increase our breathing and warming up our muscles. So starting off with a little walking on the spot, so lifting the feet, focusing on our feet and ankles, so starting to peel those heels off the floor. Okay, keeping the breathing nice and relaxed, so not holding your breath, and just take it at your own speed, your own tempo. Remember, this isn't a sprint. We just want to ease our way into this movement, warming up the joints. We can even start to reach the arms forwards, maybe getting a little bit of a stretch. Imagine that you are reaching for something in front of you, so actually using those fingers and hands. Okay, you can either work the upper body and the lower body, or you can just stick to those feet and then have a little rest. Coming into some shoulder reaches, so trying to raise the arms a little bit over the head. Again, imagine that you're reaching for something above. Okay. And maybe starting to swing the arms from the shoulders. So you'll see how I'm taking the elbows back behind the body. Always remember our posture, so we want to be lifting up nice and tall, keeping our head and chest lifted, whether we're seated or standing, and looking at something at your eye line in front of you. Okay, we're going to come into some shoulder rolls, so lifting the shoulders up and down. The option here to keep the feet marching or just working through the upper body. So work through your fullest comfortable range of movement. Now we're going to reverse with those shoulders coming forwards. Again, not holding your breath, allowing your breathing to stay nice and relaxed. Okay, from here I'm going to take a little head turn, so just looking over to one side, coming back to the middle, looking over to the other side, coming back to the middle, looking down towards the floor, and lifting the head up. Okay, from here we're going to start to reach across the body. So we've got the opportunity here to have a little bit of a twist. Again, just working through your comfortable range. It might just be a very small movement, but imagine you're reaching for something across the table. And maybe taking the arms a little bit higher, so changing where you're reaching, perhaps into the cupboard. Okay. And we're going to come into a little side bend. So you'll notice that I've got my knees bent, head and chest lifted. We're going to reach the fingertips down to one side of the body and gently lifting up. So keeping the head and shoulders facing forwards. Breathing out as you reach down. So you might feel a bit of a stretch here. We're just starting to warm up the joints. Fantastic. Coming into the hips. Now I'm going to do a little hip circle here. For seated, you can either start to take the upper body in a circular movement, as you can see marching here. And we're going to go in the opposite direction. Okay, so from here, we're going to come into the feet and the ankles. You might use a chair just to give you a little bit of balance, a little bit of support, okay? We're going to take a 1 foot forward for some circles. So we're going to circle the foot. Again, just exploring that range of movement, however big or small that movement is. Maybe 5 circles in one direction, 5 in the other. Okay, let's change feet. So again, using the support wherever you need it, keeping the head and the chest lifted. Don't worry if you feel a little click or a little crack. So just making sure that you're just working through that range of movement, but not putting your joint through any pain or discomfort. Okay, we're going to do just a little rise onto our toes. So with the feet flat to the floor. Again, you might use some support with 2 hands here. We're going to lift up onto our toes, gently lifting up and lower back down, relaxing the breathing. Holding a little bit of tension into our tummy to help support our balance. Supporting our hands, maybe with hands or even fingertips. Okay, fantastic. Now we're just going to do a very quick little bit of movement just to keep that circulation. And for 10 seconds here, we're just going to increase those arms and those feet. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. So hopefully we're starting to feel a little bit warmer and a little bit looser. Okay. Now I'm going to take you through 10 exercises today. We're going to do those 10 exercises for approximately 45 seconds. Okay, we're going to work the upper body and the lower body, and we're going to alternate each part of the body, and we're going to use some of that equipment as I described earlier on. So our first exercise is going to be a sit to stand. So the setup for this is feet just outside of the hips, head and chest lifted, keeping your eye line forward. We're going to send the hips backwards as we bend at the knees and bring the upper body lifted. So you've got the opportunity here to use a chair for balance. Okay, sending the hips backwards towards the wall behind you and lifting up. Now seated, we're going to do knee lifts, as you can see marching, demonstrating here. So all together, we're going to work through this exercise. Remember our breathing. We don't want to hold our breath. Okay, trying to take those hips towards the wall behind you. You're going to start to build strength through the front and the backs of the legs. Now this is a great exercise for the leg strength that we need when we're climbing stairs, okay? Or when we're getting up from the sofa and we need to go and get a glass of water. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Very good. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to use a resistance band for our next exercise. We're going to do a chest press, okay? So with a band, I'm going to place it behind the back and feed the band forwards so that you get a little bit of resistance into the muscles in the front of the chest. Now marching is going to do exactly the same exercise, working through that range of movement, pushing the arms forwards. So we want to think about our posture, lifting tall, reaching those arms forwards, and slowly bring the arms back. Breathing out as you extend. Again, working to your own speed, your own tempo here. Try to keep those shoulders low, so we don't want to lift and raise the shoulders. We're working the muscles and the upper body into the chest. Imagine that you're trying to open a big, heavy door, so we have to use a little bit of force. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. So for those of you using a band, just place it onto the back of your chair here. Okay, we're going to come into some side step overs. So, first of all, think about our posture. So we're lifting up nice and tall. I want you to imagine that there's a small fence beside you. We're going to lift one foot up and over. We're going to place it onto the floor. We're going to bring the other foot and bring those feet together. Now we can change in the opposite direction, lifting up and over, bringing those feet back together. For standing, you might use a chair for a little bit of balance. Okay, so remember you've got the chair where you need it, just to give yourself a little bit more support. Okay, lifting one foot up and over, bringing those feet together. So this is a really good exercise for our balance, building that strength through the hip. Okay, you might want to find a spot on the wall in front of you to really help you with your eye line. Again, we're opening up the hip, keeping the hip joint nice and mobile. Last few seconds. 3, 2, 1. Super. Okay. So now I'm going to use a resistance band to work the muscles in the back. We're going to do a bent over row exercise. So for those that are using a resistance band, for standing, I'm going to place the band underneath the feet. And for seated, you can do exactly the same position, placing the band behind the back of the toes. Okay? I'm going to show you from a sideways position. We want to keep our back straight, sending the hips backwards. And from here, we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together and then allow those arms to lower. So head and chest in a nice straight position. Again, we want to remember our breathing. So breathing out as we lift is going to help with this exercise. I'm going to continue showing you forwards so you can see the body position. Fantastic. So you place the band just onto the back of the chair. Now we're going to do our single leg hamstring curl. Okay, so for standing, again I will show you this sideways. You might use a chair just for a little bit of support. Okay, we want to focus on our posture, so lifting up nice and tall, and we're going to work one leg at a time. Okay, so I'm going to extend that leg, and we're going to lift at the knee, bring the heel in towards the hip. You might shift your shoulders forward very slightly, okay, as you start to build some tension into the back of the muscle, into the hamstring here. Now you'll see that marching is doing the same exercise seated. We call this a leg swing, so extending the leg, bringing that heel in towards you, repeating that movement. But again, remember our breathing, so not holding your breath and not wanting to put too much tension into the base of the spine. Okay, so we can do the same exercise, changing legs. So 30 seconds onto each leg, maybe slowing down the movement, keeping the head and the chest lifted. So this is an excellent exercise to help improve our balance and also to build the strength into our hamstring muscles. We get quite a lot of tightness from sitting down, so it's really important to keep the strength in those leg muscles in the back of the leg and into the hip. So 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. If you're feeling any tension, just have a little bit of a shake. So, we're going to do a side bend exercise. So again, we're going to keep the posture nice and tall. You've got the option to use either weights or a resistance band. I'm going to demonstrate this with some dumbbells today, okay? So either with weights or with tins. I want you to keep the shoulders down, bending at the knees, and we're going to reach the body down to one side, lifting up and reaching those fingertips over to the other side. So again, remember our breathing out as you lower. Try not to lean forwards or backwards. So you want to keep the upper body lifted. Imagine that you're reaching down to pick up a bag of shopping. So just working through your fullest range of movement here. Drawing a line down the side of your legs with your fingertips. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Okay. So, we're going to do our next exercise is a reverse lunge. Okay, so for anyone that is standing, you may want to use the chair just to give yourself a little bit of safety, a little bit of support. And what we're going to do here is we're going to step 1 foot backwards. So I'm going to work on one leg for 30 seconds. Okay, so a reverse lunge is stepping backwards, placing the foot onto the floor, bending both knees and bringing those feet back together. You want to keep your hips between the front foot and the back foot, not placing too much pressure onto the front of the knee here. Okay, so just working through that movement. For a seated lunge, you want to take a step forwards so that upper body is still coming low towards the floor. I want you to imagine that you're bending down to pick up something from the floor. Now this is a really good exercise for building up that strength into the top of the leg, into the hip, and to help you getting down to the floor when you need to, when you're out in the garden perhaps. So we're going to do the same exercise, but we're going to work the opposite leg, okay? So stepping back, bending at the knee. I'll show you this without holding support if you feel you are able to. Okay, try to bring the opposite leg and then the arm forwards. Excellent. So remember our breathing. You don't have to come all the way to the floor. It's just within your own comfortable range of movement. 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to come back into the upper body. We're going to do a bicep curl. Okay, so again, you can use weights. You can use tins, or you can use a resistance band. I'm going to demonstrate this with a resistance band, first of all. So I'm going to place the band underneath the feet. We're going to keep the head and the chest lifted, but starting with a little bit of bend in the knees and just gripping the band onto the inside of the wrist. Shoulders pulled down. Now let's bring those arms into the chest and slowly lower down. You'll notice how my elbows are in towards the ribs. And we want to think about our breathing, so breathing out as we lift. Keeping the head and the chest lifted. Okay, so this is an exercise for building that strength in the upper body. So when you need to pick up something a little bit heavier, we're working those muscles into the front of the upper arm. You may even hold it for a little pause, just to increase that tension. Last 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Fantastic. So again, just placing the band onto the back of your chair. So we're going to do a calf raise. So we're going to work through the lower body, working the muscles on the back of the lower legs and into the ankle. So again, using the chair or any support that you need for standing, and the same movement we're going to do seated, working through the ankle mobility. Okay, so I'll show you. From a side position, keeping head and chest lifted, eye line ahead of you. We're going to lift those heels so the weight comes onto the toes, and then slowly lower back down. You can also do this with one hand, lifting up onto those toes, slowly lower down. So important to remember the toes. You want to keep the big toe pressed into the floor and the little toe, so really spreading those toes. Maybe holding it for a little pause and slowly lower down. You'll start to feel that tension increasing into the calf muscle. Now this is a really useful exercise for our balance. And of course, if we need to lift up and reach into a cupboard, something above our head. Last 3 seconds. 2, 1. Fantastic. Okay. So we're going to do one more exercise to complete this first round of 10 exercises. So we're going to do a Russian twist. So there's the option here to add some weight by holding a weight in front of you, or you might want to cross the arms. So you've got a few variations here with the arms crossed or with the arms out in front of the body. Now thinking about our hips, we want to keep our hips facing forwards. head and chest lifted. We're going to twist the upper body to one side, coming back to the middle, twisting to the other side, coming back to the middle. Again, trying to keep those hips facing forwards. Imagine your hips are like headlights. You don't want those headlights to turn. You want to keep your hips facing forwards, but working through the upper body. It's really important to keep our spine mobile, so taking our spine through its fullest comfortable range. You may find this exercise helps when you're twisting in the car to reach for your seatbelt or looking over onto the back seat. Last few seconds, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to repeat those exercises for a second time round. So first of all, I just want you to have just a moment to grab some water, have a little breather, and then go back to the start of those exercises. Okay, so we're going to do the cool down now for about 5 minutes. We're going to start off with a little bit of circulation, but the focus here is to really slow down your movements. Okay, we want to keep the blood moving through the body after all those exercises, but we're not trying to raise the heart rate. We just want our breathing starting to slow down, calming down our nervous system, just allowing the blood to flow through the body. Maybe swinging those arms from the shoulders. And we're going to come into some shoulder rolls. So you can keep those feet marching, but just slowly working through the upper body. So really start to work through any tension you can feel through those shoulders. Let's bring the shoulders forwards. Just exploring your range of movement here. You may start to feel some tension after some of those upper body exercises. Okay, and just peeling those feet off the floor. Imagine you've got glue on the sole of your shoe and really working through the toes and the ankles. Just taking just a moment to breathe nice and slowly through the nose, out through the mouth. Once more, slowing down. Okay, so we're going to take a stretch for the chest. Now we're going to open the arms towards the side. For seated, you can hold the back of the chair or even place the fingertips onto the base of the spine. So open up the chest. Again, relaxing your breathing. Only 10 or so seconds. And then we're going to curve forward. So we're going to hug a beach ball in front of you, round the shoulders. Tuck the chin towards the chest. You'll notice I've got a little bend through my knees here, curving through the spine. And we're going to twist, so lifting the elbows to one side, coming back to the middle, over to the other side. So stretching down the side of the body, and very gently just rolling up through the spine. So we're going to do a quad stretch for our front of the leg. We're going to lift one heel. Okay, keeping the head and the chest lifted, either holding this position or seated, bringing that knee into the chest. Or if you don't feel able to, hold the heel, then you can swing the leg, bending at the knee, feeling that stretch into the front of the quad here. Again, I'll show you this from a side position so you can see head and chest lifted, 10 or 15 seconds. And we're going to change legs. So let's do that onto the other side. So bringing the heel in towards you. Think about pressing that hip bone forwards. And remember, if you struggle to hold the foot, so from here you can of course swing the leg, bending at the knee. Fantastic. Now we're going to come into our hamstring. So we're going to work the back of the leg here. So I'll show you by sliding one heel forwards, bending the opposite knee. Head and chest lifted. We're going to fold forwards from the hips. This is really going to target the hamstring muscle down the back of the leg. Again, we're going to hold this for 10 to 15 seconds. So breathing out, not holding your breath, as we really lengthen those muscles down the back of the leg. Fantastic. So we'll do that with both legs. I'll show you onto the other side, okay? Sending that heel forwards, folding forwards from the hips, and again lengthening down the back of the leg. So you may use a hand hold if you need for a bit of balance, maybe using a chair, maybe using a surface around you. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Okay, so coming into the feet and the ankles, we're going to do a calf stretch. So for standing, we're going to bend one knee forwards, pressing that heel into the floor, lengthening into the calf muscle down the back of the leg here. Again, holding this for 10 or 15 seconds. You'll notice with Marcin's demonstration, he's lifting those toes towards you, so really flexing at the ankle to really feel that stretch. And we'll do this on both legs, so we can do this on the other side. We've got a knee bent, our heel pressed to the floor, and keeping the head and the chest lifted. So we're really targeting those calf muscles down the back of the lower leg here. Okay, I'm just going to do a very quick little bit of ankle mobility. So again, just loosening off those ankles in both directions. And onto the other foot. So we want our ankle mobility to be as flexible as possible. If you're ever walking over uneven pavement, being able to have nice flexibility through the feet and the ankles will help to reduce any tripping over. And again, with our hands and our wrists, just having a little gentle circulation just to keep those joints nice and fluid. And again, just with the fingers, just very gentle, stretching through the fingers. Fantastic. Let's finish off shaking those fingers out. And give yourself a round of applause, well done everyone.